It's high noon, so call the meeting of the Fire and Police Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bill Banks.
Here.
Fred Vogel.
Here.
Ron Sanko.
Here.
Fred Levering.
Here.
And Keith Bear.
Here. Do we have any public comments as they relate to fire and police? Hearing none, we'll move on. Fire department, Colin.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the month of August to date, there have been 147 responses consisting of 21 fires, 20 motor vehicle accidents or rescues, 50 medical responses, 11 hazardous conditions, 44 alarm activations, and 1 fire police call. Total responses in the borough, 89, outside of the borough, 58. We had 69 overlapping calls to date. No fire damage or saved property for the month yet. Average turnout of 4.4 personnel. We had 7 volunteer responses out of the 147. 0 Narcan administration so far for August. Total responses 1,159 to date. For the expanded July report, there was 276 responses system-wide, 93 medical or motor vehicle accidents, 183 fire-related calls. Our busiest day of the week was Friday. Our busiest hour of the day was 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. 1 Narcan administration. We had a fire loss for the month of July of $5,200 for a vehicle fire at the Berkshire Mall, 0 saved property. We gave aid 59 times. We received aid 37 times, 83 overlapping calls. Our average dispatch to en route time was 1 minute 54 seconds, and dispatch to on scene was 6 minutes 56 seconds. We gave mutual aid response to Laureldale Borough once, Western Berks Fire Department 20 times, Mount Pleasant, Penn Township once, Fern Township Greenfield 7, Moton 2, West Reading Borough 8, Muhlenberg Township 10, Shillington Borough 1, Cumru Township 8, and the City of Reading 1. If anybody has any additional questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are we still charging for false alarms?
Yes, yep, we have that all rectified here. So the first one is free, and the second one is $50, the third one's $100, and then I think the fourth one and every one for the remainder of the year is $200. So every quarter that report's getting sent to Phyllis of who owes what, and then they take care of billing. And
Is that residential or commercial?
it's only commercial.
Why is it residential?
We don't really seem to have a problem with residential.
So most of the stuff is commercial.
And our frequent flyer there would be.
You pretty got them kind of curtailed. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not violations there anymore or whatever, but I mean, we've got them pretty compliant. We were over there the other day, one day last week or whatever, they're doing construction in the D wing. They'll set the detector off. That's not really a false alarm because we addressed the situation with them. Now, if we keep going back to the same issue, then at that point, then we would start billing or whatever. But the alarm panel was reset and cleared. There was no troubles like in the past. We go there, there'd be 100+ troubles or issues or whatever. So we don't really have any problem facilities at the current moment.
Great.
What kind of construction are they doing?
I don't know, they was drywall. They were drywalling and doing dust. Is D-Wing the one that was the hospital?
Yeah, they're
Wing?
converting it into another hotel, Motel 6.
Converted it to what?
Another hotel, a Motel 6.
Oh,
And I'm gonna
I didn't know that
notify-
went through.
I'm gonna notify Kraft because their building permit's not approved.
Interesting.
Yeah,
'Cause they,
I'm gonna text Glenn right now.
that was their nicest building though, because Reading Hospital Maintenance used to take care of all that when they had to, but then they pulled their people out because it was unsafe. They felt that it was unsafe or whatever, so. But yes, they are doing at least drywalling in there and sanding.
Yeah, I
Texting
didn't think they got permission for that.
Colin, what's
Sorry.
pretty close to Muhlenberg? It seems like
There's
10 seems a lot for a town that's not contiguous to Wyomissing.
There's a couple issues there. The first issue is their ladder truck's out of service. So that's kind of where Wyomissing gets involved. They go out with the ladder truck. Spring currently for any structure fire in Muhlenberg Township, we run as the RIT Company Rapid Intervention Team. But yes, they're running a lot of calls out there for the ladder. and when the ladder is in service, they're having some staffing issues, they're going through some issues out there, they're trying to hire a full-time fire chief and do something, they're having a hard time getting apparatus out in general. They merged, that might be a year ago, and hired a part-time chief, and I guess things just aren't working out, and a lot of people have left when they merged the two departments together, Temple and Wickenburg.
So the majority of our mutual calls to our neighbors because they don't have the staff.
I would say in Muhlenberg, not necessarily anywhere else. And we are getting reciprocation from everybody other than Muhlenberg. I mean, we would have to go to a greater alarm here for Muhlenberg, probably third alarm or greater to get Muhlenberg over here just because there's other apparatus that are closer. You know, we're getting the city of Reading, West Reading, Kenhurst, Shillington. Those are the predominant departments that are running with us to assist on multiple of our calls. So we're providing the service back to them as well.
What's West Reading's staff right now?
It's hit or miss. Again, they're volunteer, they do have some sort of a staffing program during the day, but the other day we had when I say the other day, that's probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a gas leak over at, the Berkshire Shopping Complex at PetSmart or whatever. And they were on for an engine and they brought a pickup truck instead with 2 people on, so we had to cover that with the city engine that came out for us.
And the keys to the fire truck, or they didn't have the keys to the fire truck?
Probably couldn't drive it, or they weren't certified to drive it.
You had 83 overlapping calls. How many of those were overlapping on a medical call? Do you know that number?
I don't, I can dig more into that, but when it comes to overlapping, that could mean that Spring Township's on a call and Wyomissing gets dispatched for a call at the same time as well. Not necessarily that one or the other is missing it. We're pretty good at being able to handle, because we're reporting under one reporting system, so all the calls are reported together, but I'm breaking down specifically what Wyomissing is responding on. And
Can you get that number for us for everyone?
Yeah, we can try and
And of that one missing of the medical versus
something else.
something else.
Yeah, usually it's medical or storm related. Yeah, we have a labor come through.
Can you estimate how many, what percentage of the times when we respond for medical, we actually provide medical treatment?
Yeah, in the, well, like here, in the expanded report, so, 17 times we've provided, we had patient contact out of the, I don't know what the total number of calls in Wyomissing itself for medical calls were for the month of July. But 17 times we had patient contact that we actually did what they call a PCR, patient care report, because we had primary contact. Out of the rest of those calls, we were either canceled or we arrived at the same time that the ambulance did, and we assisted the ambulance with whatever they needed as far as lifting or whatever, assisting with patient care, but we didn't need to physically do a full-fledged patient care report on it.
Is our patient, when there's fire response, do you guys wait for the ambulance? to
Yes,
show
we
up?
have to. We can't, once we're on scene, you can't abandon the patient until there's somebody there at the same level of care higher.
And we're not hanging IVs,
Correct.
you know, just to, you know, it's not like the TV shows and, you know, so forth. You know,
We
we're
could.
there to assist the ambulance,
If we do advanced EMT, but that's a whole nother.
but we don't stock any of that.
No, correct, no.
We don't have
The only
drugs.
thing we're administering is oxygen, we can administer Narcan, we can do CPAP, which is an advanced oxygen. And we can do blood sugars. We could carry, EpiPens, through our medical director and stuff like that, but we chose not to because the amount of calls that for allergic reactions in the ambulance is closer, and that's an expense that we would have to pay, which would probably expire before we used it. So we didn't feel the need to actually progress to actually carrying EpiPens on board. Because it's not, you know, there's not a substantial time delay that it's taking EMS to get there, even if it's one of Western's father stations or even mutual aid. You know, it's not, we shouldn't be on scene more than 7 minutes before there's an ambulance there by ourselves.
And when we have a medical call, we're sending out the ladder, correct?
That's correct.
We don't necessarily need to send out the ladder, but the reason we're sending the ladder is in case there's another call, we have the ladder.
Correct, and obviously staffing. So if we break the staffing down and only send one person, that's a safety issue, sending one person alone, number one. And then we only have 2 people back at station.
I was, just side comment, when I had my incident, I was surprised that fire wasn't dispatched.
Yeah, it depends on, so if it's, Yeah, currently, right now, we go on second, do ALS-related calls. That would be an advanced issue or whatever. Third, do BLS calls.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious.
But, I mean, not to put props on to Tony or whatever, but I can tell you that the EMS system countywide, probably nationwide, is broken. Between finances, between personnel, and the call volume keeps going up. So it's one of those double-edged swords, kind of like mutual aid. You know, if we say we're not going to run mutual aid to the other municipalities, then they're going to say, well, we're not going to come to you. We have staff trained people there, so if they can assist the EMS system because they're getting inundated running 40, 50, 60 calls in a day shift alone, you know, they're tired, they're getting beat.
No, that, they should be running their calls. I mean, it's been proven that having fire respond has already saved lives. That's been
You
proven.
know, we work hand in
numerous
hand
times.
together to do, you know what I mean, like we're trying to basically give the best outcome for the residents of the municipalities.
Whenever, you have a supervisor on during the day too, similar, well, we couple of them, but our assistant chief who runs a squad ALS vehicle, if he's going to that call and there's another fire call, he's recalling the fire and directing them to go to the fire. He'll handle the assist to our truck or similar of that nature.
And they're very good at, you know, I mean, like they're redirecting things or whatever, trying to handle the calls internally or whatever. So, you know, a lot of times we may get canceled and turn around because, you know, they have another truck freed up or they're moving something from someplace else or whatever that's going to.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good thing just to know on a monthly basis of the overlapping calls, what they're, you know, what the numbers are, why are they, you know, overlap, you know, just so we have a rough idea on a monthly basis. That'd be great. Any other comments or questions for Chief Hackman? Okay, thank you. Moving right along to Western Berks. Tony.
I apologize, I'm having technical issues,
That's quite all right, I have one.
thank God.
So we had 238 calls for service in the month of July in the YMS and Borough, 1,689 year to date. Of those 238, 183 of them were transported, 17 were refusals, 2 were for standbys, 33 times were canceled, and 3 were an assist. To break it down even further, 106 of the 238 calls were ALS, 82 were BLS, and 38 of them were downgrades. Of that breakout, you always want to know how many we need to take to the Highlands or Country Meadows. There were 34 calls at the Highlands and 26 calls at Country Meadows for the month of July. Our dispatch to responding time is 1 minute and 9 seconds. Our average scene time is 14 minutes and 2 seconds. And the busiest hour in July was 4 p.m. with 22 incidents. And again, most of the patients go to Reading Hospital. And we had 2 Narcan administrations this last month for the breakout. From a COVID standpoint, again, COVID is COVID. It's going to be here for the rest of our lives. You know, it's going to be the next flu. Cases are up, but again, there is no real way that anyone can say what the actual case number is because we're all testing at home. We're not reporting it to anybody. If you are reporting it, it's only because you're going to the doctors or you're at the hospital. If you're getting it at home, you're testing yourself at home and you test positive, you're not really, there's no real, so again, the numbers at the hospital they're seeing more, but again, it's wear your mask when you need to. I have great news on the last item. We are in our building as of August 8th, not 100%. September 1st, we will be in the building. We're moving out of the Collins Station finally. I'm sure Tom Bosher will be very happy on that note. September 1st.
We won't go any further.
I was told by the fire guys that they would love to have a crew back there just when Tom's in the office, so we're gonna arrange to have that relocated down there.
Especially while I'm on the phone.
Especially, that's what Colin's gonna call the guys down to do it. But no, the building's been completely remodeled. We are up to code on everything.
You already had your first AFA?
We already had, yeah. No, we did not. not. Actually, we did
It was
not.
dispatched.
No, it was not actually dispatched. The crew walked in and the alarm was going off. It was
Oh.
never dispatched. They called self-report. And then I got the meme sent to me on TikTok. Oh no, oh no. It was rather, and I said, listen, if you're calling to tell me what's going on, please tell me the building's not flooded until I get there. What happened was the fire alarm system was tested that day, and they forgot to take the note off, and there was a problem with the air pressures in the dry system that were not correct, so we had that. But the administration staff is there. We will be having a big open house soon to come and soon to be dated, but it's working out well. We're just getting all the bugs worked out now.
Great. Congratulations.
Yes.
Any questions, anything for Tony? Thank you for your report. Police Department, John.
Good afternoon, everyone. A few things. I wanted to give you guys an update over our vehicles for this year. Two vehicles, as you know, were both ordered at the beginning of this year. One of the two has arrived. We just picked it up this morning. It's been getting striped. It was dropped off at RMI so that they could start to change over with the lights and the radios. The second vehicle, I am told, is not scheduled to get built until October 14th. They're telling me we should have it by Thanksgiving. So hopefully, I'm not sure how things will be around between Thanksgiving and Christmas with the holidays, we'll have that vehicle in service on the street by mid to the end of December. That being said, the vehicles, as you are aware, are very difficult to obtain, and like some of the other departments, I've looked into what I'm looking at for next year. Well, I gave you that 5-year plan. We are now able to start ordering those vehicles now, so that we can get them in, so that we're not getting them in service at the end of the year, next year. So I've done some checking into the costs of those vehicles. Of course, as everything has gone up, even more than what I had estimated for the, in my 5-year plan. But for the two vehicles to be replaced and everything switched out and changed over, that cost is going to be $94,050.12. So that is what I would be putting into the budget for 2023 for the vehicles, for both vehicles. But I am asking for permission to go ahead and put that order in so that we're not doing this again next year, waiting until the end of the year for these vehicles to arrive.
What did we think it was gonna be when we did the 5-year plan?
The 5-year plan, I said, was going to be 83,805.44. So things went up as, you know, more than what I did 5% each year, and things were more than 5% for these cars.
So is that what's in the budget now?
There was nothing in the budget. This was planned for 2023 budget, which we haven't started working on yet. We just asked John to do a 5-year plan so that we kind of had a plan for what was gonna go in the budget each year. And, so there's no decision made. I guess we'd have to get this committee to recommend it, and finance committee to recommend it, and approve it at the next, borough council meeting.
Is that,
To pre-order them prior to establishing the budget of 2023.
And John, these are CoStarz purchases?
Yes.
Which one came in, the truck or the other one?
I'm sorry?
Which one came in, the truck? or the-
Utility, the truck's the one that,
Just later.
and I'm hoping, they tell me it's being built October 14th, that's the date from Ford.
Are the new vehicles being retrofitted with old equipment, or do it all come as new equipment?
Some is old, some cannot be switched over, won't fit into the light, the lights and things like that. For the 2023, the ones that are being done now, most of it's old equipment being retrofitted.
Can you surplus that, or what do we do with the stuff that comes out?
The stuff that comes out, we can try to surplus it, I don't know how much. We have a lot of things in our garage that we use for spare parts if things break down, that type of thing. some of it's so old that it doesn't get utilized anymore.
You're cycling some cars out though too, you're getting rid of some.
Yes, the two cars that are, for this year, they're going to go. So we're not adding cars at all. Like, through the next year, we'll be cycling through cars.
Keith, how do you want this motion, as far as just pending finance approval?
I think you're pre-ordering based on next year's budget, just like we did with the dump truck. We authorized them to go ahead and order it, even though it's in anticipation of being put into the 2023 budget and being paid for out of next year's dollars. I think it's just giving them permission to pre-order,
I agree that the motion should be subject to finance.
which is next week, and then the following week. So, you know, it's another 2 weeks, and then you can order.
You wanna make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the pre-ordering prior to budget of 2023, the 2 police cars based on the 5-year plan, contingent on approval by the finance committee and on the borough council.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
John, just give Melissa the estimate 94, whatever, $1,000, or, so we can put that in the minutes for the finance and then for the borough council.
Next, I wanted to give the committee an update on the static LPRs. This was a project that was supposed to be completed by now. There was a several week delay from PennDOT with issuing permits. And then we had a delay, Telco threw a monkey wrench saying that the equipment can't be in the boxes where the traffic light equipment is located, which it can be. We had a bunch of going around with the assistance of Michelle and making contact with people from PennDOT, stating that the equipment can be in these boxes. So this has all been settled. So the schedule that I have from the agency installing the equipment, they're gonna be starting on the 9th, should take them till the 23rd. They're gonna then, that's gonna be the wiring and testing. Then they're gonna start on the 26th, actually installing the cameras. And then there's a system burn-in, getting them into the actual system where the cameras are downloading the information in which then law enforcement can run the information. It's expected to go live on October 15th. Depending on the condition of things that they find in the boxes, it could be before that, but that's what they are telling me, that we should definitely be done by, is the 10/15 date. I also wanted to discuss, as we're getting into budget items and planning for 2023. 2023 is the year that we are due to update our computers that are in our vehicles. Right now, there are several different models out at various different agencies being tested. There are some issues with connectivity for some reason with Berks County in all of the models. So there has not been a choice yet that we are making to decide what computers are going to be purchased. My question is, in the past, the borough has decided that they would buy the computers outright, but Berks County has a plan in which you can purchase through the county and you pay it off over the 5 years. So as I'm preparing my budget, I'm wanting to know, do you want me to look into that 5-year payoff, or would you like to continue as we have in the past and purchase them outright? Again, I don't know what the cost is going to be yet on these computers, but I would say it's going to be somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000, would be my guess.
I think you have to do a cost analysis based on, you know, what are they charging interest, what's the time frame? You know, we're not borrowing the money, so it's not like we're competing against an interest. So I think it's just a pure cost analysis of what the cost comparison is and make a decision based on that.
I just don't know what these are gonna be, and I'm really worried about when we want to have our budgets finalized by, and us knowing what computer we're going to be picking. This has been a very slow process.
From a budgeting process, you just gotta make your best guess and then we'll adjust it as we, I mean, I think we all understand that. I just think we have to be open-minded enough to adjust as we go along. Just don't put in 35 and come back with 100, you know?
Right.
Are the programs the county has applicable to all the varieties of computers that you can pick from?
Well, what they do is it's one computer is chosen.
Oh, by the whole county?
Right, that's why there's, like I said, there's several different brands that are out there right now being tested. And as I understand, there are some connectivity issues, which I'm not sure why that is.
Are you part of the test?
No, we don't have any here. There's some that surround us that do, and there's departments out in like Carnarvon and Brecknock and things like that that have them where it's further away. That's where they're more worried. Usually here, we're pretty good, but the further away you go, there just tends to be some issues. And it seems like that's where they're having some of these issues.
But there's no timetable that says they stop working at the end of 2023. So if it takes a year longer to do it,
Right.
yeah.
They were supposed to be replaced this year. I don't know if you remember, I talked about this, but then I had brought it up actually at an IT group meeting for the county, and I said, you know, this is something that we're trying to plan for our budget, what's going on? And it was, oh, well, I said, we didn't test anything. So it was already extended 1 year. We currently have Dells. The Dells that we have are not the best. I don't believe that they chose wisely when we picked these. They've had a lot of issues. They've gone back and they've had a lot of screens replaced. Not just, we've had some, but it wasn't just here, it was throughout the county. So we're really trying to do a little better job at testing these before we put them out. So I'm thinking it's gonna be somewhere, like I said, between 30 and 35. I'll try to find out what they're gonna try to do with the cost if we spread it out over those 5 years. The other thing with Berks Radio, when Pat was still here, and I don't know if you remember, our yearly cost to the county for the costs of dispatch and running the computers and things, that this year is now, with the last contract we signed, is going to go up compared to the consumer price index. So there's going to be, I'm sure, some increase in that, and with how things have gone up, I'm not sure when we're going to actually know what that cost is as well. I don't know if anybody here has more of an idea of what this is going to be, but I can expect that that's probably going to be a bigger jump than normally. And I think it's been pretty much the same over the last few years. So as soon as we know what that is, I will.
Brian's keeping it a secret.
Well, like I said, it's coming from consumer price index, so that has to be set. And so until that is done, until we're told what that increase was from the government, that's what they're gonna hold their hats on.
Can I go back to the computers for a second?
Sure.
With the IT team that you have, which is pretty good, is there any input from them to the county that would suggest that maybe we want to go a completely different direction and do our own thing? Will it still be interoperable with the county's 4 or 5 that they pick? Because we may be smarter than some of the guys picking 2 or 3 of the others, and we may have something to offer to say, we'd like this one, which would be just as efficient, maybe more effective and user-friendly for your guys.
Well, the county is part of the IT team. They're actually sit on this committee, and they are aware of all the issues and all the concerns that the officers have said that are a part of this committee. It's not just chiefs, there's patrol officers, there's supervisors, there's some chiefs on there.
Are your guys on?
Yes, I have a Sergeant Moore that's actually on it, but I've been making as many of the meetings as I can to keep myself informed as well. That's how I kind of know about the issues that they're having and hearing it firsthand. So I think they're going to try to pick they of course want to be the most cost effective, but that has the features that we are looking for, that makes it easier for us in the field, and it works. So I'm hoping at the next meeting we'll get a little bit more of an idea. So it's the second Tuesday, so it's the day of council meetings. That day I'm usually sitting in a Zoom meeting and hearing about these things. So I'm hoping we'll hear more of what the status of the tests have been, that they figured out what the issues have been and have improved. So,
John, do these run off the same tower system that the county radios run off of? Or is it a different communication system for these computers?
well, it's running off of Wi-Fi that the county has throughout. So I'm not the most tech guy in the world, but there's cards in the computers that it's running off of. It's running off of, like you have your Wi-Fi at home, well, it's tapping into the county's system.
Is that Wi-Fi running off of the county tower system?
I believe so.
Ask your son, he'll know this stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have a sergeant sitting with me, because he's more technical about this stuff than I am, so. But yes, it's all, because it's the county system, because they limit what we can put on the computer. We can't just put an app for this or, whatever on those computers. They have to actually approve it and have to give it the permissions for it. It's running off of their system.
In regards to your number, last year it was 78,977.23 for police, 23,000 for fire, and 22,000 for EMS, for a total of 125,377 for minus, for the municipal radio fees.
Yeah, so it's gonna go up by the consumer price index, so.
Looks like the projected consumer price index is 2.9, long term is 3.2.
So we had 24 to 36,000.
35,000.
John, do you have a copy of that county agreement that has a CPA language? I'd like to see.
Pat had it, so
I
I'm
can
sure
find
it's
it.
somewhere.
Right,
Because he actually signed off on it.
I'd like to see what we've agreed to in terms of how that CPI is going to.
So you want the executed contract with the county?
Yeah, and that was that about a year ago we did that?
I think so. So it's not right when Pat left, a little bit before.
Thank you.
As you know, one of my officers was out hurt. I just wanted to let you know that they are back to full duty, and working their shifts. I had come to the committee and I was talking about our police reports, our pursuit reports, our policy, and some of the concerns that we're seeing out there, not just locally, but really nationally, with these motorcycles, and how concerned I am with what they're going to do, and how our policy restricts pursuits for minor violations, summary violations. And I said this is something that I've gone back and forth with, because pursuits are dangerous for everyone involved. And I'm really leery about how much we want to give away to the officers, take away some of the restrictions that are in place, versus if we let some of these things get out of hand, they're just gonna keep coming, and somebody's gonna get hurt that way. Just the other day, there was a crash in the city involving a motorcycle when they were in a pursuit. I guess maybe a week or two ago now. So it's something that's real. We had guys involved. We had a motorcycle pursuit earlier in the month as well. So it's a danger. So on the screens are our current policy. And what I did was, the only language I changed is on page 6 of the policy. And in that policy, or that section, it states, are you there?
Yeah, what number?
It should be criteria principles, should be under I2
Gotcha.
and
Now I
then
see it.
E. I have it highlighted. That highlighted section is something that I added. So in E, it states in the event is a minor traffic violation, that's how it's always stated. I added the highlighted section. The violation is considered a serious traffic offense if it is outlined in subsection B, chapter 37, serious traffic offenses of the Pennsylvania Vehicle Code. That's sections 3732 through 3736. Or if the violator is traveling 31 miles per hour or more above the speed limit. So the subchapter B, chapter 37 covers homicide by vehicle, aggravated assault by the vehicle, fleeing or attempting to elude police officer, driving without lights to avoid identification or arrest, homicide by vehicle while driving under the influence, aggravated assault by vehicle while driving under the influence, and reckless driving. Those are the incidents or the sections that are outlined under the 37, or chapter 37, subsection B. The last part where I have the 31 miles per hour or more of the speed limit, that's an automatic hearing in front of PennDOT if you are convicted of traveling 31 miles per hour or more. So that's not in the serious traffic offense section, but it's a serious enough offense that you're going to PennDOT no matter what if you are convicted of traveling that rate of speed above. And so at 25 mile per hour zone, 35, 56 miles per hour or more at 25. So I had said to the committee I would bring this back so that you could look at it and see what you think about that. And that's where I came up. I was toying around with just putting a section about motorcycles in there, but I wasn't comfortable with it. This helps to outline it a little bit more, as I said, it always said minor traffic violations, so that's gonna handle speeding. It handles red lights, it handles stop signs, whatever. Okay, it limits them to then the serious, or if it is speed, but it's a reckless speed.
Well, are we not hamstrung by the borough's configuration? How do you determine when someone's exceeding the speed limit when you're on a 25-mile-an-hour area and somebody's flying? You have to go 56 to find out if they're going 62.
Well, we're gonna have to clock them with our VASCAR, with what we have. So we're gonna have to, at that point, if they're not going through one of where we have our lines painted, we're gonna have to follow them. And as they pass reference points, activate our device to get their speed.
Right, which is pretty much not very effective in one of this,
It's not the best.
for the most part, because you don't have you can do it on 422, but I don't even know if that's your jurisdiction. You can't do that on 422, can you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can catch people all day long there. Problem in the borough is the motorcycle doing 55 on Wyomissing Boulevard, which last thing you want to see is your car doing 65 trying to catch them.
Right. When you read the policy in full, like I said, nothing has changed as far as if it becomes too dangerous and things like that, it's still all there. That's why I didn't like the whole exceptions for motorcycles, because we have it, if it becomes too dangerous, if the road conditions are wet, or it's too dark, or there's too many people, all these things that have to be considered, I didn't want those to be dropped just because we're stopping a motorcycle. So to get our speeds, there are times, I'm trying to think, like Museum Road is, I think it's 35 or 40 out there, and at nighttime, on the weekend, you can get people going pretty good, especially, 2, 3 in the morning, when there's not a lot of people. That would necessarily fall under this, if they get over 31, they can then continue to pursue. So it's just gonna depend, really.
Well, if you're comfortable with the way this is, I'm sorry, Fred, you had something?
I'll keep it under 66.
But if you're comfortable with the way this is and
Well,
looking for a
ultimately, the borough would be the one that's responsible, right? That's why I really
Right.
wanted to make sure that council's aware, the committee and council's aware of what I'm thinking and why, we can try to give the guys the the ability to do it, because these guys are doing, like I said, earlier in the month, we had one, they got him stopped because they got in front of him, and he went up on the sidewalk, and one of our officers pushed him over as he was going by. That's how we got him stopped. Okay? You know, and it was lucky it was nighttime, it wasn't that busy, but these guys are gonna end up killing somebody, and it's, I guess, not just here, it's everywhere, it's craziness with how reckless these motorcycle riders have become, especially, there aren't too many motorcycle crashes in 26 years of being a police officer that I was involved in the investigation, and it ended up well for that rider, you know, so why they're driving the way they are, I don't know.
Well, from my experience with motorcyclists and vehicles in the borough, they're moving fast, It's not because there's an officer chasing them. And I
No.
think the idea of, without suggesting, hey, you've got the ability to do this, but our recommendation is just back off. If the guy wants to kill himself, that's fine, but if he kills himself because you're following him, we're in just as much trouble as he is, and it just isn't worth his life, his career, to follow him down these new roads.
Well, and that's why I didn't want to take all that stuff out, so if it is that dangerous, then we let him go.
Okay, once again, common sense prevails. Okay, thanks.
So, I guess then is the committee's okay that I can institute that change to the policy, and I'll have my guys trained on it, and
I think the committee doesn't know enough about it. We need to trust your best judgment, and whatever your best judgment is, you're the professional. You tell us what you need us to do to support you, and that's what we should do.
Well, what I like about your change, chief, is that it provides more guidance to your officers about when they should apply the policy, and, you know, I think that's good. People should have guidance about what's a good pursuit and what's not a good pursuit.
Do you want a formal approval from this committee?
I don't think
I mean,
Yeah.
I think.
when I
It's
first
like
brought
what
this
Keith
up,
said.
there were members that asked that I would bring it back, and I felt that, especially in light of the seriousness of this policy and the possibilities of, as Councilman Stanko said, if somebody crashes, no matter what, we're gonna get pulled into it.
Sure.
That you understand what the policy is and be, you know, comfortable with it yourselves.
Right, council has delegated to the chief the authority to set these policies, and so I think this is just for your information and discussion and any feedback to the chief, but it's the chief's discretion to set the policy.
But well done.
That's why you're the chief. Trust me, good.
And then lastly, I have received an application for a handicap parking space at 1414 Garfield Avenue. The space is actually because of their young child with a disease that they have. They have a garage in the back that's pretty tight to be able to pull they were parked in the garage, then remove their child from the car in that garage. It's not the easiest for them to do. So that is why they are then asking for the space in front of their house. There are no spaces on that block on either side of the street, so there isn't anything like that in any kind of as an issue for this. The only would be the off-street parking part, but I don't see how they pull a child out of the car and put them into a wheelchair in that tight space in that garage that they have.
You have all pertinent documentation.
Yes, I have everything here.
Somebody wish to make a motion?
I'll make-
Yes,
Sure.
apologize. In light of the difficulty in following up on previous chiefs granting requests, council, do you recommend that the approvals be for a certain period of time and then people have to start renewing them? Or do you want them for an unlimited period of time? I mean, not that I
I think
expect
we
this
have to-
situation to change, but that people can move.
Right, I understand, and we'd have to change the ordinance. I think, because there's nothing in that ordinance, number one, to say that. But as was brought to you while I was on vacation, I have now a list of everybody's, and this would then be added if it's approved, and I plan on keeping an eye on those types of things myself, for when my replacement comes, down the line, then that would be a discussion maybe at a later time, but I'm fine with it being for the indefinite.
But do you have, are you doing spot checks, or are you reviewing all of them
Well,
periodically?
I've reviewed all the spaces that are in the borough, on public streets. I gave, through Sergeant Purcell, while I was on vacation, there were 2 spaces that are no longer being utilized, but were still there. So that has been approved for those signs to be taken down. Jim Abb was made aware of that for his people to take them down. And that's kind of like a yearly thing that I'm gonna plan on doing. It's a good little winter project when there's not as much going on.
And this was supposed to be an annual thing, as reported from previous police chiefs, whether it was done annually or not, but it was, just sometimes that I can recall, is that people were notified, hey, those people moved out, do we really need that sign up there anymore? No, right?
It's just gonna be easier for me, because now I have a list. I know where the spaces are, and it's just gonna be easier for me to go out and check.
Just as curiosity, how many are there?
I don't remember, I think there was about 14 maybe, does that sound about
Yeah.
it? I don't know if it was on, if I had given that form and Sergeant Purcell went over it, and I don't know if it was on the screen that month while I was away, but I'd say it's somewhere around 12 to 14.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
Motion and second, any further questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Can I ask one question? Not about this, but about police. On the police report, I was kind of curious, because I was sitting in front of my house a few days ago. 3 cars pulled up, guy in the back seat, handcuffs, taken away. It's not on the report. I'm kind of curious. 403 Wyomissing Boulevard.
You know, right?
It was either Friday, Saturday or Saturday. I'm not sure the specific time, but it was at like 4:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere around that time frame. 3 cars, a guy with, I don't know what it was, 3 cops.
Was it a stop, like a traffic stop?
He didn't, there was no car, and there was no bicycle, he was just in handcuffs, sitting in the back seat, and, he didn't get out, and he didn't say goodbye, have a good day, they took him away.
I'm gonna have to look into it, I don't know. Usually, and it was,
It was Friday or Saturday, I'm not sure which day, because they all run together those days, but it was out in the evening hours, but there were 3 cars there, it was not a garage.
Was it evening? Well, you talked to me Saturday morning,
It was a Saturday, it
so
must
it
have
must
been
have
Friday.
been Friday
It
afternoon.
must have been Friday afternoon.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, I'm just not sure, because there's a lot of company coming to join the area, because that seems to be the through street for people coming from the other side of the playground. They move down Garfield and come across the street. I've had probably, for well intentioned purposes, a couple of eggs thrown in my car that I have to clean up in the evening. Where they're coming from, I don't know, but I don't think they're coming from.
Right.
It wasn't you, was it?
Run out of eggs, right?
So anyway, there's a lot of company joining us in the community coming up through the playground that way. And I just thought that was probably an indication of someone else that was coming that way. What they did or didn't do, obviously they weren't doing anything that was well intentioned, because they left in handcuffs. So,
Yeah, I'll have
With-
to look.
without
It might be an incident that it's labeled as a different location where it occurred,
Right,
but it's
yes.
located there,
yeah,
so.
he might have been running into 3 cars to catch him. Right.
I'll check into it.
Yeah, no problem.
Without giving anything away, all of a sudden we got some people, I guess they're really disgusted with our stone house. And, or not the stone house, but with Happy Hollow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and this is like all of a sudden. Without giving anything away, are you, any
Yes.
ideas, thoughts?
Yeah,
He's aware of it.
we've done some things, I mean, I think if you've noticed in the reports that we found people down there, there's a reason why we found them down there. We have some other needs for how we found them, so that may go away, but, for at least a little while. But I think it's something that, as discussed it with Michelle and Pete, that we probably have to update some of that security cameras down, not just there, but a few places throughout the borough. But I would suggest that that place be put on the list, that we update the cameras that we have.
I have quotes for the budget.
So,
Are your cameras connected to your iPhone so that you can see anything at any time?
That's not, we don't wanna, not here. Robin.
In regard to the Happy Hollow Pavilion, the one line was cut,
Right,
and I was down there and the two wires are hanging like this, and I don't know how long that's been.
It's part of an insurance claim, we can't touch that.
Well, can't you take a picture of it and just say, hey, and then fix it? I mean, it's like, I almost fixed it myself and think, you know, holy hell.
It's, that,
You know.
that's owned by the electric company, they're the ones that actually
Oh.
submitted the claim for that pole, so no, we cannot touch that.
Really? I mean, so anyway, but there's another case where we have a wire that has to just be connected, then you have light down there. And now we're not using any lights, so you know.
We got an update on that.
we got a
like 2-3
tree too
weeks
that's
ago.
involved, that, you know, with insurance companies that we can't do a thing with, so.
Really?
Yes.
John, going back to the vehicles again, what's your method of getting rid of the ones you have?
I believe we put them on municipal bid.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious because, I mean, I don't know if like guy, the broker that sold the fire truck, if it's, we should be maximizing, you know? I'm just saying with used equipment, seems to be at a premium.
I think we probably get a higher value for them on municipal than going through a private broker, and we're paying him a commission fee
Yeah, okay.
versus,
I was just curious.
I don't think that we traditionally get a lot of money for those when we get rid of them. So if we end up using a broker then for what little we get, we probably.
Yeah, probably.
Municipal is effective.
Is it?
Yeah.
Hey, anything else for, John? Thank you very much, Chief. Mr. Bowser.
Okay, a couple of quick updates. The audit for the West Side Regional is completed, and Bill should be getting a copy of that hopefully at the September meeting for the file and to bring back if anyone has any questions. The hazard mitigation plan thing, we had another meeting August 3rd, and they shipped out the forms to everyone. Did you get one? You did not get one.
no, in fact,
I
Jim
mean,
and I were just
I
talking.
I got a CC, but it went to all the,
Jim and I were just talking last week, I was like, Tom keeps saying we need to update our plan, but I haven't seen anything of you, and he's like, no.
Okay, well, I'll check on that. I have a meeting, we have our meeting or training on Wednesday, I'll ask.
Unless the only thing I got was a very general contact form.
Could it have been direct, do you still get like Pat's emails?
No, we shut that off months ago.
Well, I'm just saying because it might have, they might still have had his.
The only thing I got that may or may not be what you're talking about, it was like a general contact form, like who's your water authority, who's your sewer authority, who's your manager, who's your council president.
No, I'll check and see what the deal is with that. I got a thing that had, but it could have been Pat's name on there yet, you know what I mean, that it, because it was directed to the managers. Yeah.
What if they shut it down when they should have?
Yeah, it should have found, yeah, that doesn't make any sense either, then you're right. I don't know, I'll look or I'll find out.
Are you sure his is shut off with the email?
Yeah, cause I still have access to get into everything that was saved in there.
Because Pat used to go to me, it used to be his actual name. Now, when you text me or anything that's coming through Wyomissing Borough Hall,
Wait, what?
or are we talking two different things?
We're talking about email.
Well, yeah, the same thing, when I get an email from you, it's Wyomissing Borough Hall,
I mean, whymissingborough.org.
it's.
Yeah, his was potentially through the PD, but we're all set up so that we have a mirror, so you could email me at either one and it's gonna go
Okay.
through, same for
Maybe
him.
it just has to do with my phone.
But I
Okay.
mean, I contacted Lynx directly months ago and said, turn it off. Cause the out of office message had been on for like 6 months and it's like,
All right,
and we're paying license fees and that's not one we're paying for, so.
I'll check and see what the deal is, where they sent it to them, I don't know. All right, I'll find out. But that should have come out. Anyway, all right. The budget stuff will be sent out, we're gonna work on that and send everybody the number. Should be the same as before, only with the population change with the census, it'll
Go up slightly.
be a couple more, but not much. And we did use the, code red for the boil water advisory for the water main break over in Greenwood Mall. Seemed to be successful. Jim contacted me and then told me when it could be lifted, so seemed to work. I don't know if you had any complaints about not being contacted. I always get a couple extra calls then to make sure I'm signed up for the thing, because some neighbor told somebody and they said, I didn't get a call, and they said, well, call me in, sign up, and we'll take care of it. So that's updates with what happened, so seemed to work well.
I did not get any complaints from people that
Didn't
did not
them.
get it, I got complaints from people that did get it.
Okay, let them get sick, huh? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Why? They didn't want to hear about it, or what? They complained and said, don't tell me that the water system should.
Okay, just make sure they call the ambulance. Be transported to the hospital.
That one makes no sense. Okay,
That's part of our-
all right, those complaints will take it, so. All right. And that's it. That's all.
Anything, anybody have anything for Tom? Thank you very much, sir. Do we have any old business to discuss?
I had mentioned that we have a borough resident who wished to make a substantial donation to both our fire and police departments. Those are, he still wishes to remain anonymous, but they are well underway. John has some upgrades with some vest equipment, and Colin is going to be replacing some furniture at the fire station that didn't make the budget cut previously, and we have more to spend than he wants to spend by the end of the year, so we're on it. So it's a very nice thing, but it doesn't wish to be announced.
Very good. I'm still in touch with Phil Wolf. You know, he still wants to do some things with the static cameras, but he hasn't gotten back to me with any kind of a price yet. So I just keep thanking him.
But I think
Don't hesitate to call me.
Feels like again, put that in for him. To save Phil's life again.
So, anybody else under old
Only gets
business?
one? Okay.
Hey, new business.
Hey, do you wanna bring it up?
Well, we have a couple of people in our retirement drop program, and so it's no surprises, but we did get notification, and give that to Michelle, that Matt Henning wishes to step down as of the end of next January. So, with now an end date in sight, our current, or most recent, I should say, civil service list has been pretty much exhausted, and it's, we like to ask the, basically, I'd like to have a recommendation for this committee to ask the personnel committee to fire up the civil service committee.
Yeah, let me just give you an update on that. I have appointed, I forget his name again,
John Ellington?
John Ellington. I think some of you may know him. I guess he was some sort of a federal judge at one time, but he works out of his house now on Overland. He is now the alternate on the Civil Service Commission. I did give him all a heads up the other day that what's coming down the pike, and one of my questions was, your list is pretty much expired, right?
Our list is done.
That's what I thought. So you need one, we need to start working on fire also. So they're gonna have their hands full.
I would like it to start ASAP just because, with Officer Henny being done at the end of January, if we need it, when we hire, if that person needs the academy, that academy will start in January. If we would wait till after that, and that next academy would be July, so that means they wouldn't get done till December of 2023, and it's 3 months of field training here. So we'd be looking at 2024 until they'd be out on their own. So the sooner we can get it started, the better, and hopefully this year, that by the end of the year, we're ready to hire.
Do we have to go to personnel?
I
or
already
can we
emailed-
just do it ourselves?
I emailed Dan Becker this morning and actually asked him to convene the civil service as soon as possible because of this issue. So, I mean, I think if you wanna make a motion, it's a formality, but the wheels are already in motion.
Let's do it. We can always let personnel know this is what we're doing. I mean, everyone basically is scared of it,
Let's amend the agenda to discuss, request of the Civil Service Commission.
So
First
moved,
thing.
and the agenda.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public comment. The public comment? Okay, now entertain a motion
To request the Civil Service Commission to
Deactivate.
begin,
or,
recruitment process for police officer.
And fire,
no, we're not doing fire yet.
you mentioned fire as well.
I just was bringing that up as
That's
history.
why we need to do both.
You wanna do both?
I mean,
Right
you
away?
need both of them. And we've been
I-
talking about it for,
I thought maybe we wanna talk to Colin first about it, and maybe start that process next month. Unless you wanna do it now?
I don't know that it hurts
Sounds
to
like
get a
getting
list.
Dan Becker's attention is difficult, so maybe once you get it, you want to take advantage of it.
Not yet.
No, I don't think it hurts to get a list because it doesn't do any damage to have a list, whether you
Yeah,
hire
we
or
don't
not.
have
Because
a
if somebody
list
will leave,
Right.
in fire.
we'd have to start at square
Or in
one,
any,
so.
right?
I think it should be both.
Yeah.
And a list is good for like 18 months. There's no harm.
Okay,
So moved.
fine.
Second.
All those in favor, and that's with an amendment that we're gonna do both police and fire. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, great.
And also ask the Civil Service Commission to do a good job again, like last time they hired about 24 people off of one list, and it was amazing. I never saw a list that successful.
How many of the officers needed to go to the academy after you selected?
How many have we,
How many did you need to send to the academy after you selected them?
out of this last group? No. But we have traditionally done that in the past, so we have to account for that time.
Oh,
and Whoever's
absolutely,
gonna
be
end up number
mindful of
one.
it.
I noticed West Reading, they want their applicants already trained.
Yeah,
I said that was in the paper Sunday, Sunday's papers, yeah. So,
Should get a lot of applicants, that's for sure.
You know,
not really,
No,
not,
they're not applying for
unfortunately.
Chicago or Philadelphia, so.
Spring Township had 13,
Really?
something like
Yeah,
that.
it was low.
all
So
the
unfortunate.
departments I work with are having trouble recruiting.
Is there any other new business to be discussed? Do we have anything for executive? We do, okay. We're gonna be taking any formal action?
I don't think so.
Okay, then at this time, we'll adjourn into executive session.
Subject?
Contractual issues. I thought I should do it by next Thursday, to say for granted. Okay. If I'm calling it Kathy, just trying to like pinpoint a better idea of time, I'm guessing, see,
Yeah.
when you're on vacation, to maybe
subsidies in the process.
You come over anytime you want. See you later.
Hey, John, while I'm thinking of it, did you see that email from Mike Sherlock about
Landscape for
every